morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse. We're giving you an update of the birds that people have been seeing in the area. We are already in mid-March. We are rolling through the month, and the birds are getting very chatty. They're singing quite a lot. They're showing some signs that they'll be nesting soon-ish. They're looking for nesting sites. They're grabbing some nesting material. So it's an exciting time of the year. We've got some pictures of yours that you guys sent in that we're showing today. And as always, we love to know what kind of things you are seeing. You can put those in the comments. If you have any questions, you can throw those in there as well. And if you want to, you can always just say hi also. So we've got some photos that we've been sitting on for a little bit here. So I thought I'd show you some of the interesting things that have been submitted as of the past month or so. Benny over in New York City, or actually he might be in Long Island, sent this photo earlier in February saying, I think I have a winter oriole. And he sent in these 3 photos of, yes, what appears to be an oriole at his feeders. So that was a really cool sighting. You never know what kind of things you'll see, even in the middle of winter. Every once in a while, we do hear stories or see pictures of orioles, especially, that will spend the winter and not migrate. Not so much hummingbirds, but we do hear about it with orioles here and there, but it's still quite rare to see one in the winter months. So that was a cool sighting and some neat photos there sent in by Benny. If you are in the Western New York area, you might start to hear the sounds of this bird flying around. These are killdeer, and killdeer are an early migrant that comes back into the area. You can find them along any kind of lake shore. You can find them even in parking lots. That they're known to nest right in the middle of parking lots, which is interesting. Right in the median, sometimes they'll nest. But this is what they look like. So they're a type of shorebird. And Mark sent this in and said, I was trying to find the American woodcock, but the killdeer was around instead. So a couple photos there of killdeer. And then here's another one too. So they are coming back into the area. Really cool. One of our early migratory birds coming in. Robins, been seeing an increase of robins, although some will spend all winter here. A lot of them do migrate a little bit, and don't be surprised if you start seeing larger flocks coming into your yard, or just when you're out and about. You might see big groups of them in trees and things like that as they're migrating in or migrating through. You can tell the male and female robins apart. This looks like a male. The females are usually a little bit lighter in color, but they seem to be increasing in numbers as well. Where I used to see maybe 1 or 2, I'm starting to see bigger groups all flocking and foraging for some food. So be on the lookout for more robins. Brown creeper, love this bird. This is an interesting bird that blends in really well with the sides of trees usually. And they're called the brown creeper because of their habits. They're known to creep up the sides of the trees. And usually they blend in super, super well with the trees, so they can be hard to see. But these are a couple of photos here that Mark sent in of brown creeper. They're brown. They've got a little stripe above their eye, but then they also have what's called a decurved bill, which you can see in this photo pretty well. Their bill just angles down a little bit. So cute little bird there. You can even find these in your backyards if you've got some larger trees in your yard. Keep an eye out for some brown creeper. If you see something kind of going around on the tree and it's not a woodpecker, it's not a nuthatch, could very well be a brown creeper. Song sparrow. I actually heard my first song sparrow calling maybe last week or so. So they're starting to sing, and like their name suggests, they sing quite a bit. But this is a picture of a song sparrow that was sent in by Mark. Another bird that you are not going to necessarily see in your backyard coming to feeders so much, but you might find them underneath your feeders during migration time when they're kind of rolling through. So it's not your most common backyard bird, but you never know what you'll see in your backyard this time of the year. They have a lot more stripes on them than your typical house sparrow does. And like their name suggests, they do sing quite a bit. So keep not only your eyes open for the song sparrows, but your ears open too. Here's another killdeer photo. This is neat because it shows some of their coloration pretty well. Those bright white wings, and it's got kind of a buffy colored orangish tail feathers there. Killdeer are also known to do a broken wing display if you get close to, especially if you get close to their young, once their eggs have hatched, they will sometimes look like they have a broken wing and try to lure you away from their nest, which is pretty cool. But this is another killdeer photo sent in by Mark. And this is a neat sighting here. This is a short-eared owl. And short-eared owls like wide open spaces. They like open fields, meadows, that kind of a thing. At dusk, they'll hunt along the fields, kind of flying low over them. And Mark sent in this photo here of the short-eared owl. The northern harrier, which is this photo here, this is a female northern harrier. They will occupy the same type of habitat as the short-eared owl, but during the daytime. And the most distinguishing characteristic here of the female northern harrier, or any kind of northern harrier, is going to be what's called their bright white rump patch. So that bright white spot right there on their body tells you that is a northern harrier. The females are brown, like this photo here. The males are an overall very gray color, so you can tell the difference between male and female. And they do like fields. They'll fly low over marshes as well. So if you see a bird of prey kind of flying low over some kind of a habitat that has tall grasses, it's probably going to be the northern harrier. And then hooded mergansers. So Mark sent in quite a few pictures of hooded mergansers, which are a really neat looking bird. Here they are in flight. Looks like 3 males and 2 females. So the males have the more striking black and white color on their head, and the females have more brownish colored heads. But they do have really neat crests that they can flip up, which you'll see later. But these are called hooded mergansers, one of those diving ducks. Here's a good photo of the male with its feathers up, so you can see how it gets its name, the hooded merganser. They're going to be smaller than, say, your common merganser or your red-breasted merganser, but they'll be in the same kind of habitat. So any kind of large bodies of water, if you're by a lake, if you're by a large pond, a bay, anything like that, keep an eye out for hooded merganser. Really cool photo there. And then eagles, lots of eagle activity. Actually, we've been getting a lot of phone calls too about different eagles that are around, eagles that are starting to occupy nests. This is a subadult bald eagle at Irondequoit Bay, and this picture was sent in by Mark. You can see how it doesn't have its bright white head yet or white tail. So they grow into it. It takes them a while to grow into it. It can take a few years. Here is another photo of a short-eared owl, all fluffed up after hunting in Geneva, sent in by Mark. So this is a cool photo showing sometimes those short-eared owls do perch after they have been hunting for a while. They'll perch on fence posts or trees. And this is a great angle here of a short-eared owl sent in by Mark. Short-eared owls are also migratory too, so while we have them here now, we won't have them as we get more into the springtime months, so they will move on and go further north, actually. Now here's a bald eagle that has its full adult plumage, sent in by Mark. Says bald eagle at Onondaga Lake in Syracuse. So here is the eagle on the ground. It looks like it's got something in its bill. And then here is one sitting on its nest. Looks like very, very cool. And it's hard to tell if it's bringing in nesting material or what it's got in its talons there, but there's 2 bald eagles here in this photo. There's the one with its wings spread open, and then there's another one here in the corner kind of looking up, looking out. So it looks like a nested pair there. Really neat photos of some bald eagles out in Onondaga Lake in Syracuse. Another hooded merganser. So we saw the pictures of the hooded merganser with its feathers up and out. Here is one with its feathers down on the top of its head. Looks like it's eating some kind of a fish possibly, but here's a hooded merganser at Kings Bend Park. So this is the male, And then here's the male and the female. So the female has the same kind of feather structure. It's the same shape feathers as the male, but they're just not that bright black and white. They're more gray and brown in color. So probably a pair here. There's birds are starting to pair off. We've probably seen that in your yard a bit too. They're going to start to get more territorial as the season goes on because they're starting to pair off. I like this photo too here. Another eagle photo sent in by Mark who says, eagle action at Irondequoit Bay. Immature and subadult bald eagles. A fish was jumping in the background as the immature was going after another in front. I didn't realize that at the time when I snapped the photo. So this is really fun. You can see the fish jumping out of the water there. And there's the eagle flying in to grab another fish that was in front of it. So really cool action shot there, sent in by Mark. And here's some other eagle photos as well over at Irondequoit Bay. Here's a couple here. Looks like they might even be fighting over the fish. Looks like the older eagle, you can tell it's older because it has more white on its head and its tail, is being chased by the younger eagle here. Might be going after that fish. And it looks like this eagle won. It's flying by itself with the fish in its talons. So cool set of photos there. And this was also sent in by Mark, who says feeder action from the snowy day we just had. And if you're in Rochester, we had another kind of snowy evening going into the morning today. There's a little bit of snow on the ground, which will probably melt right away, but you might see more activity at your feeders because of the snow. But this was a neat action shot here. He says, feeder action from the snowy day we just had. The red-bellied woodpecker held its own against the starling. Probably had about a dozen cardinals too, and a downy woodpecker looking on. So sometimes you can see these instances of feeder aggression where birds that normally aren't super close to each other in the wild or wouldn't be that close to one another in general, they all group together at feeders, and you can see that sometimes there is some aggression there that happens because of it. But it looks like the red-bellied woodpecker there held its own against the European starling. Looks like it might have gotten there first. And then here's the red-bellied woodpecker with a cardinal. Beautiful photo there. Looks like the red-bellied flying away with a piece of the bell in its mouth. It looks like that's the Flaming Hot Feast bell that we sell that has the hot pepper in it, the hot sauce in it, so the birds will eat it, but the squirrels will not. And then there's a female house sparrow that it looks like has landed on the bell. And then here's the downy woodpecker who's looking on at all of it. Here's a hairy woodpecker, which looks very similar to the downy woodpecker, except it has that much larger, longer bill. And this is another backyard photo shot, it looks like, by Mark, who sent that in. And pileated woodpeckers. We've been hearing lots of reports of pileated woodpeckers coming to feeders, especially if you have suet feeders with the really long paddle tails in them. So the pileated woodpecker has a way to support their tail. But here's a pileated woodpecker at Tinker Nature Park, and here's one in flight. Really cool photos there. And that's a female pileated woodpecker. You can tell it's a female because if it was a male, this stripe on their face would be red, but because it's black, that is a female pileated woodpecker. And bluebirds. We've been getting lots of questions about bluebirds, and bluebirds are starting to come back, it seems like, in larger numbers. More people are reporting them around in their backyards who didn't have them, say, a week or two ago. Whether or not they're starting to nest, it doesn't seem like they're starting yet, but they do start pretty early. So over the next couple weeks, we'll probably start to hear some reports of them showing signs of going in and out of houses. Even if they're not nesting yet, a lot of times birds will start to check out places to nest, so it's not too early to put out a birdhouse. And if you haven't cleaned out your houses yet, I keep saying it, but make sure you clean out your houses. I talked a couple times about the bird feeder wipes that I've been using, and I actually grabbed them today so you could see them. You can kind of see them here. It's almost just like those Clorox wipes or those Lysol wipes that you can get. And these are, it says bird feeder wipes, but you can use them for just about anything. They're totally safe. They're made to clean your outdoor things for the birds. So this is what I used to clean out all my bird houses, and it went very smoothly and very quickly, and I can't recommend them enough. So if you haven't cleaned out your houses, absolutely do that now. And because we're almost into nesting season again. And then here is another bluebird here. This is a bluebird at Tinker Nature Park. Looks like it might be sitting on top of a house, possibly. And you might see some of this still while it's still cold, especially hawks in the backyard. This was sent in by Benny, and we're thinking it is a Cooper's hawk based on the size and then that tail. But this is a hawk that was in his backyard, same backyard with that winter oriole. Not a bird that we have in Western New York, but this was sent in by Steel Monkey, who said, "Is this bird not spectacular? This is a brown-capped rosy finch." So not something we will see here in New York, but a really cool photo there sent in by Steel Monkey, who also sent in this picture of a gray catbird, which we can look forward to seeing, about a month and a half from now or so. If you have your Oriole feeders up come early May, you might not only get Baltimore Orioles coming to your feeder, but these gray catbirds who love the grape jelly and the oranges that go inside them. And then another photo sent in by Steel Monkey, who says, "When the snow covers the ground, I put out this tray. It will last a couple of days. The birds have a feast with my backyard offerings." And that looks pretty delicious, honestly. That looks like almost good enough for a person to eat. There's some peanuts in there. It looks like some grapes, a whole bunch of different types of seeds, some apple slices, some fruits. So it looks like a lovely little selection. So if you're a bird, you can't go wrong with any of that kind of stuff. But those are the photos and the updates that I have for you today. If you have any questions or comments, you can throw those in the little comments box. Steel Monkey, who had the beautiful spread of the different seeds and things, is on and says, "I saw the first brown-headed cowbird at my feeder this season. It's good to see everything returning. My neighbors don't feed the birds, so I get all the action." Yeah, we're getting a lot of questions about when the Orioles will be back, when the hummingbirds will be back. Even if it's a mild winter, it's not going to be significantly sooner than it is any other year. So really, we recommend putting out your Oriole feeders, especially early, before you see any Orioles. So if you put them out the last week of April, you have plenty of time, because they usually show up around that first week of May. And same with the hummingbirds. People usually see them around the 5th of May or so, are the first reports we hear of them. And then by mid-May, both of them are coming, both the Orioles and the hummingbirds are coming in some pretty good numbers. Let's see, Douglas is on and says, "It'll be quite interesting to see how the birds react to our upcoming solar eclipse. What will they be thinking?" That is the question. So here in Rochester, we are lucky enough to be in the path of totality of the solar eclipse that's happening on April 8th. And yeah, apparently the birds are throughout the day are chatty, singing, doing their usual thing. And then as the eclipse happens and it gets dark, apparently it goes quiet, and it can be quite eerie, I've heard. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on that day on April 8th. We're all very excited about that. If you need eclipse glasses, we have quite a few. So we still have them. We have the cardboard ones, and then we also have the reusable plastic ones as well. So we've got a mix of everything for you guys. Well, it looks like that is everybody's comments and questions for the day. We'll be back with another broadcast soon. And until then, have a great week, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.